Welcome back to What's Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is a Valentine II. It's a Tier 4 Soviet premium light tank. It's located on the south storm of Steppes, and it's under the command of 73north of the WTWW clan. And this is a reduced numbers game with only 10 on each side. Well, it looks like 73north hasn't woken up yet, but his turret's moving, so yeah, I think he is in the game. So there's a few bots you might see on either team. The bots are indicated by the colon before and after the name, so yes, you can make out which ones are which. Now the Valentine II has a 45mm gun. It's the F95. That's a Soviet gun. The Soviets had plenty of 45 caliber ammunition, so they took off the 2-pounder gun that the British actually installed on these vehicles and fitted their own guns so that they could use their own ammo. It's actually quite a powerful gun because it can do 47 alpha, and it will penetrate 51mm of armor with standard ammo, and with the APCR 84mm. Now the Valentine II is a walking tank. That is, it's supposed to actually protect the troops and walk alongside them. It's actually quite a decent tank because it's got huge amounts of armor. 60mm all round on the hull, 65mm all round on the turret. And the Soviets had the habit of putting applique armor on as well to make it even tougher still. And this is one of the few tanks, along with the Matilda, that actually saw service throughout the entire war. It was a private design, originally designed by Vickers Armstrong, based on the A-10 cruiser. So even though it's a walking tank, it was based on a cruiser tank. It's got fairly simple bogies, as you can see there. 3 row wheels for each of the bogies, plus the idler and the return. And the Soviets liked it because it was very simple. Now he's starting to pump rounds into that Valentine II. It looks like it's a bot. He's using the APCR because he's having to fire at this guy from the front. And the armor, as I said, is strongest at the front, weakest at the rear on the engine cover. So ideally, if you want to deal with a Valentine II, what you have to do is approach it from the rear and then start pumping rounds into its rear, into the engine deck, and that will kill it. That is actually a live player, funnily enough, not a bot. But he's done the right thing. He's got behind the guy. He's still using APCR. He doesn't need to use APCR. He can actually use standard AP to punch through the engine deck. The engine deck is very thin armor because, of course, they need to release the heat from the engine. And you can see he's easily getting shots in and gets a kill. Oh, we got another Valentine. And I think this is a real person as well, because it's coloured, it's got camo. He's now using standard AP, and look at the way it's just carving its way through the engine deck. Now the guy's actually gone up against the wall, but he's actually getting penetrations on us, so we need to get behind him. The other Valentine's attacking from the other angle. Don't block him. And he gets the kill. Now, a number of these actually served in the Battle of Moscow when they were defending from the Germans who'd invaded through Barbarossa. 2,394 Valentine IIs came from Britain, and 1,388 came from Canada. Yes, they came directly across the Pacific into the ports on, I believe, the other side. I believe they were actually made in Montreal or near Montreal, but they were shipped to the Soviet Union from a variety of different routes. We're now being struck by an M8A1 from over there. They have got very thin armor, so our standard AP shells should be able to go through them. But he's actually run out of APCR anyway. No problem penetrating this. M8A1 Scots have very thin armor to make them go fast. Yes, lovely pens. I think he's still hitting that guy, but he backs off. There's the other one. Looks like one of the Scots has gone down. It's just this one at the very back. Yeah, the other one's gone. He has been killed. It was taken out by our other Valentine II. So we've got one Valentine II just to the south of the cap area. Oh, and another one's coming nearby as well. Only 4 enemies left in the game. There's the other Scot. He's trying to run away. That one hit the tracks. And that guy's turned around to fire at us. And he's firing HE as well. I think that's a real player. My God, that one went through the mantlet. What's unusual about the Valentine and most people don't recognize is that originally, when the tank was built at early stages of the war, it was riveted. So they put it together with rivets, and of course if a shell would hit, it would sometimes make the rivets bust. But towards the end of the war, they actually made it, instead of rivets, they switched to welded instead. They also switched the engine. Originally it was a petrol engine, and then they switched to diesel, because of course the Soviets had loads of diesel, and so it was much easier for the engines to be diesel ones. So he's locked on to this guy, and I think that is a bot. He's reacting to our shells, trying to get up over the embankment. He's just got tracked there. You need to be careful about the angle which you hit these tanks, because rounds tend to bounce off them as well. And of course, having the tracks where they did and the bogies actually did provide some protection for the tankers. Okay, well this guy's been fighting it out with our teammate in the other Valentine. So we're going to come up to him and try and pump him full of shells in his engine deck. He's gone. Okay, so that's only 2 left on the enemy team. The M8A1 and the Valentine II. Only the 1 kill so far for 73north, but his teammates have been doing well. Even some of the bots have actually been getting kills. The B1 and the Largo have got 2 kills each, and they were bots. Okay, who are we going to get first? Well, we're going for the Valentine II first. And he goes down, and now it's just the M8A1 to kill. Looks like our teammate's going to get there before us. And just beaten to the punch there at the last shot. And that one is a victory. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for 73north of WTWW in the Valentine II. He also managed to get a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle, a shell proof for blocking more damage than hit points to his own vehicle and surviving the battle, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 8. He got a hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from at least 4 different enemy tanks or more, as well as a cool headed for taking 10 or more ricochets non-penetrating shots, a high caliber for dealing the most damage in the battle overall, and also a Confederate for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. His win rate from that game was 6,749, which is Super Unicum standard and quite a bit more. Let's have a look at team score. Well, we can see that he did get the highest damage, 1,687 hit points of damage, with the second place going to the other Valentine II, being commanded by a live player who got 1,028, and after that another Valentine II for 471. When it came to kills, it was one of the other Valentine IIs who actually managed to get 3 kills and a cool-headed, and only 1 kill went to 73north, and the same to the other Valentine II. None of the humans on the enemy team actually managed to get kills at all, but one of them did pick up a cool-headed. And when it came to base XP, yep, 73north got the highest. In fact, he got over 1,000 base in that one. 1,258 went to him. 999 went to the other Valentine II, and 717 went to the third one. He fired 104 rounds in that game. A lot of those were AP, but he did use up all of the APCR that he had on board. 87 direct hits on the enemy, only 36 penetrations. So that comes down to the fact that it does have very strong armor. As I said, they not only had thick armor to start with, but the Soviets actually put applique armor on top of that to make it virtually impossible for the enemy to kill, especially if they were using a 75mm gun from a standard German Panzer IV or Panzer III. He also had 4 splashes on that in that game as well. 1,687 hit points of damage, of which 99 were at more than 300 meters. Does take the gun a little while to dial in. 35 hits received from the enemy, only 3 of which actually penetrated, 27 non-penetrations, and 5 hits by way of splash damage. 940 hit points of damage blocked by armor. He was almost at steel wall territory, you might say. He got 3 spots in, 7 enemy vehicles damaged, 1 killed, and he got 375 hit points of spotting assist. On a premium count, he actually made 38,541 credits from the game, and he also took away 8,492 experience points after getting 3,774 for a mission completion event. So, very good. The Valentine II is one of those little tanks that, even though it's only tier 4, you can have a big impression on the battle, as 73north did in this one. He only got 1 kill, but my gum, he did have a big effect by pumping out the damage as much as he could, and also aiming for all those weak spots. It's one of those tanks I think you can practice not third dimension. No, what am I trying to say? Third person view. That's it. To actually drive the tank and shoot using the third person view, aiming for the engine deck, trying to get your shells into the weak spots, and looking outside the tank rather than having to go tunnel vision, because enemy tanks can creep up on you whilst you're in tunnel vision. So it's better to be out of sniper view and watching what's going on around whilst aiming or moving the cursor around onto the weak spots of the enemy and hoping the shell will actually go through. Hope you enjoyed this replay. If you did, please give this video a like, and thank you for watching.